So the first part of the program this afternoon here is in two steps. The first one is going to be from our one of our trade commissioners at the embassy in Berlin, and known to some of you who have attended past Frankfurt. So I present Claudia Seeber. Welcome.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Guten Tag. Willkommen. So my name is Claudia Seeber. I'm a trade commissioner at the Canadian Embassy in Berlin, Germany. I handle the creative industries files. For the past few years, this has been mainly focusing on the film and TV industry, the digital media industry, as well as the music industry. And most recently, the publishing industry was added to my files. Guess why? So I guess there's no need to say that this is basically one of the priorities we have now in Berlin. And I'm happy to be here to speak to you about the German market. Thanks to Jillian for having me. Thanks to the OMDC for inviting me, because it gives me a chance to talk to you about the Trade Commissioner Service. And this is what I wanted to start out with, to just basically give you a brief introduction of who we are and what we do. And this should be working. Yes, it does, indeed. So here we go. The Trade Commissioner Service is a government agency that operates offices in 161, 161 cities worldwide and across Canada. And I would like to take the opportunity to point out that Jeffrey Crossman here is my colleague in Toronto. So he's your go-to person for any kind of advice or any kind of connections you need to my colleagues abroad. I have people like myself around the world to look at other sectors as well. Like I say, I'm specialized on the creative industry side. What we do is we provide export advice and guidance for Canadian companies wishing to expand their business to international markets. Again, not only creative industries, across the board, everything you can think of, we handle. Good news to you is that the services are free of charge to you. So as I said, it's a government-funded agency, basically using your tax dollars, so you may as well use us. And our main services include preparation for international markets. This is something that Jeffrey would do here on location in Toronto with interested companies, getting them export ready and telling them how to do their business internationally. Again, not only for Germany, we have colleagues across all countries. We also help you to assess your market potential in markets overseas. And most importantly of all, and we've heard about this morning, about the ladies coming to Frankfurt and setting up their agendas and schedules, reaching out to potential contacts in Germany. I think this is the key assistance that we actually provide, because we can help you find these contacts. I'm based in Germany. I speak the language. I'm a German national, so I can call up people and request appointments on your behalf. I won't be doing your entire schedule. There's something you need to do yourselves too, but I can basically open doors for you. I can give you, contact lists of people who would be of interest to you, or just basically provide you with general information. If you want to find out more about us, I urge you to consult the site that's cited here, the www.tradecommissioner.gc.ca. You'll find more information about us. And anyone who is interested, please take my card and don't be shy to contact me if you indeed are planning to go to Frankfurt next year, or anything you need about the German market. I'd be happy to help. One of the things we do too, as I was saying, we do provide market information to Canadian exporters. What I'm presenting today is basically a smaller version of a study that was done about a year ago, funded by PCH on the German book publishing market. I think it's an extremely valuable tool of information that you can use. I have the full copy with me, and if you do get in touch with me afterwards, I'll be happy to send you a copy. I think there are links to online where you can actually download the copy. It's there for you. It was made for those that are interested in entering the German market. So if you're interested, please let me know, or go online to find out where this copy can be made available to you. So what I will be talking to you about today, you'll see it on this agenda. I want to supply you with a bit of information on Germany in general. I mean, most of you know Germany, and I'll just touch on a few points, but I think it's important to just have a closer look and don't generalize too much. We'll talk about the German media and publishing market, and then go through some facts on the German book market. Also having a quick look at the digital book market in Germany, and then I'll finish off with an outlook and recommendations. So one thing I do want to mention, though, you'll hear a lot of numbers and figures from me, so hopefully it won't be too tiring. Please don't fall asleep on me. But anyways, I think it's important just to get a big picture of what the German book market is like, and we'll have Ms. Hippel coming on here talking about the work of an actual publishing house in Germany, so basically complementing the big picture to a smaller working level picture. So I think this was the idea behind this, so hopefully this will work out. So here we go, about Germany. Obviously, it's located in the European Union. We are a fairly small country compared to Canada, 28 times smaller, if you can imagine. We have 80.25 million people, so densely populated. We are Europe's largest economy, and that actually means, and now I start with the figures, so watch out. We actually had a gross domestic product of almost 4 trillion US dollars in 2016. We represent 21.1% of the total EU's GDP, so it's quite an impressive number. We are the third largest export economy in the world. We pride ourselves in saying we're the export champions, so a very strong economy we have. We're currently enjoying high levels of employment, so our economy is doing well. I think we had an unemployment rate of just over 5.6% in January of this year, so it's all looking good. And one of the comments I wanted to make about Germany is that even though we're small, there are still regional differences, and also in terms of the publishing industry, it's not a very centralized system in the sense that, in the UK or in Paris, you'll find lots of companies concentrated in the capital cities. Not so in Germany. You'll have the publishing industry dispersed a little bit all over. And in fact, and one thing I did want to say is that I don't know how many of you have been to Germany. I guess there are lots of people who've been to Frankfurt many times, but also Frankfurt does not necessarily represent, culturally speaking, all of Germany. Like who was it this morning? The apple wine? You don't enjoy that? Well, you're not the only one. It's like, not all Germans enjoy the same thing. So, just as a side note, and I don't, people, talk to me about lederhosen and sauerkraut, and I'm like, I don't care, because I live in Berlin, I'm from Hanover. It's a different world. So anyways, just as a side note. So let's have a look at, it's the third largest book market worldwide. And now I need my glasses. After the US and China. It is also the largest publishing market in the EU in terms of turnover, followed by the UK and France. It had a turnover of almost 9.3 billion euros in 2016, up by 1% from the previous years, and it has basically enjoyed stable, I knew this was coming, stable sales since 2006. And we saw almost 90,000 new or first editions last year. There's one unique aspect about the German market is in that we have a fixed book price, a concept of fixed book prices that actually goes back to the year 1888. And the idea behind it is that it should protect cultural diversity in Germany. It actually applies for all books, including e-books, that are translated in German, and it also applies to magazines. Exceptions here are imported books in foreign languages and also books that are damaged copies. They can be more flexible on the pricing. What it means for the German market, according to our research, is that one, aggressive price strategies by foreign players such as Amazon are difficult to do in Germany because you have one fixed book price, obviously. Also, experts are saying that generally speaking, prices for books are considered too low. That's good news for the consumer. I'm not so sure about the industry itself. Prices cannot be used as a marketing tool in Germany because of the fixed book prices. So other forms of marketing tools are being practiced in Germany, and we'll have different editions of books, and we'll have softcover books, hardcover books, paper books, school editions, premium editions, and the like. So basically using this as another marketing tool other than pricing. And also, I guess some experts are saying that fixed book prices prevent the industry from introducing structural changes because it's a fairly rigid system. It prevents competition to some degree, and it does protect cultural diversity, but maybe it also prevents structural changes. So that was just a bit of an excursion on the fixed book prices. What I wanted to do now is, before presenting more figures on the German book market in itself, I wanted to have a quick look at the book market inside the larger media and publishing market. And I wanted to present you with this slide, the development of media business as a whole. There was a Price Coopers Waterhouse study done recently, and you can see here that the media business is doing quite well. It's growing above the real GDP, but below nominal GDP. And you'll see here that there's a slight dip in 2019, but it's coming up again in 2020-21. So things are looking good. In terms of the media segments, obviously reading books is not the only thing that people are interested in terms of looking at the bigger media picture. We have all different sorts of free time activities, and you'll see down below here on the bottom is the book market, and it is fairly stable, as I was saying earlier, but obviously there are other activities such as internet, video, esports, virtual reality, video games, and actually radio. Listening to radio is also becoming more popular again. So it's just to show that there's fierce competition for the book, I mean, like everywhere, I guess, and the question is, will the book stay relevant for the consumer in the long run? So I guess this is not a question that only applies to the German market, but it's one of the things that's interesting to note when you look ahead at the future. There are a few comments I wanted to make about the ladies who were sitting here this morning. And I can't emphasize enough how important, I mean, all these ladies were doing their homework perfectly, but I can't emphasize enough how important it is for you to start requesting meetings at an early time, because I've had people contact me, 4 weeks before the Frankfurt Book Fair, asking me to help them to set up meetings with fairly senior people. I tried my best, but, 9 out of 10 people, were almost laughing at me going, are you kidding me? My schedule has been set since July. So, just keep it in mind. And again, if you want to work with me, also please make sure to contact me early on, because I don't want to look stupid either. So, and especially in the German business culture, I don't know about other cultures so much, but in Germany, really, planning ahead is important. And like I say, people are booked fairly soon. And if you want to have a realistic chance, it's really important to start out early. So the idea was now to have a closer look at the German book market, some of the numbers, looking at consumption of books, looking at the market performance in general. This slide here points out the revenue share by publishers, and this actually is based on on an analysis of the 100 biggest publishers in Germany, and you can see that the B2B segment takes up most of, or generates the most revenue, followed by the popular segment and the educational segment. I also wanted to have a look at how books are consumed and who the buyers are in Germany, and you'll see here, obviously this is still good that reading books was ranked 14th most frequent leisure activity among the German population in 2016, so books are not doing so badly. In terms of the gender breakdown, I don't think it's surprising to see that women read more than men. A total of 18.8% of Germans over the age of 14 say that they frequently read books after school or work, and another 27.5% reported that they occasionally do so. So these numbers are slightly lower than in previous years, and it goes back to what the other slide was saying too about other pastime activities that are as important as reading books. And I think one big concern for the industry, and Frau Hippel will maybe talk about this some more from her perspective, but is that the German book market has actually lost 6 million buyers since 2012, and this is of big concern to the industry. And of course, an ongoing debate is happening on how to win these people back. what kind of marketing tools one could use to do that. According to the research, the biggest loss of readers or buyers is in the age group of 20 to 49. And I was surprised to see that there's only in the age groups until 19 and over 70, you have increasing numbers of people who are still buying books. So interesting information to keep in mind when looking at the German market. So I guess the question is, how do we get the 20 to 49-year-olds back in the game? Some more figures on the performance of the German book market. 30.8 million book buyers in 2016. Again, slight drop by 6.1%. A total of 377 million copies sold. 22% minus since 2012. The consumption per consumer annually I thought was interesting. You have 12.2 copies per customer, slight plus since 2012, and the average spend in Germany per customer is almost 135 euros a year. Books are averaging at a price of almost 11 euros. Up a bit from 2012, but again, keep in mind, and going back to the slide, that other entertainment markets are growing at a higher pace than the book market is. Again, I told you it would be numbers, so here we go. There are some more. In 2016, the number of new book titles dropped roughly by 5% to almost 70,820 titles. Overall, it means that the production has been shrinking over the past 10 years, and the decline was largely due to the category of specialist literature. Significantly fewer titles in the segments of arts and entertainment, history and geography, social science, technology, medicine, and applied science. However, titles published in the literature category rose slightly from 29,685 to over 29,000. So let's have a look at the market segments that are most popular in Germany. And, well, I don't know if you can see from all the way back there, but trade fiction is on top with a market share of 31.5%, followed by children and youth. And I guess I don't have a pointer, but you have to trust me. It's the number that's written there, a market share of 16.5%. Self-help books are at a market share of 14.5%, and education at a market share of 10.9%. How are the books being sold in Germany? What are the most important sales channels? Online sales channels continue to grow, much like in other countries, I would think. In terms of its share of turnover, they're growing, while almost all other sales channels are on the decline. So for the online sales, we had a plus of 5.3% turnover in 2015, accounting for a total of 18.2% of the market share. So 18.2% are being sold online of the entire book market. However, I thought it was interesting to note that physical bookstores remain most important as a sales channel. That being said, though, the actual physical space of the book stores themselves is shrinking. So, you know, we see that development too, even though it's still important. You know, the shops themselves get smaller. And I find this interesting if I just compare this to the music industry too, where, and again, you know, Frau Hippel may be able to speak to this too. I find it interesting how Germans seem to be traditional in many ways, because in the music industry too, I mean, online sales are rocketing to some degree, but the CD, believe it or not, still has a market share of, I think, almost 70%. So, you know, it's, I don't know, maybe it's the Germans who just like to stick to traditional things, or I don't know. But, you know, I thought it was interesting to see here that there are similar trends here in the book industry. People just like to maybe, you know, see it for themselves, touch it, or, you know, have, you know, a physical choice in a store. I don't know. I guess this will change over years, as we were saying earlier, with the age group that doesn't buy books, you know. maybe there will be online trading only in a few years, I don't know, but for the time being, physical sales is still important. I also wanted to have a look at the import and export figures, and within the media market, books are still the most important sector. The most important trade partners for Germany are Europe, followed by Asia, mostly China in that respect. The import of books highly increased recently, and I was reading in the full-blown study that this is a bit of a cyclical thing too. It comes and goes. In terms of exports, a turnover of 2.11 billion euros. Looking at the sale of licenses, somewhat weaker than in previous years. And here, in terms of the exports, the most important category is children's literature. Now I wanted to have a look at translated titles into German. What are the most popular languages that are being translated into German? And it looks like you're in a good position because English is one of the most important languages for translations, along with French and Japanese. And in total, the share of translations of first editions increased again. You'll see that there were about 9,500 translations in 2015. And that number rose to almost 10,000 in 2016. And the study was saying that the main resource for this increase is a particular rise in literature translations, which had declined significantly the year prior. So having said all of this and having given you all these numbers, I wanted to just point out a few of the major players in Germany. Whether or not they're relevant for you, I don't know. It's just, a broad stroke kind of information on who's out there. Again, just letting you know that, all of these people or companies are located in different cities around Germany. So Random House is by far the largest publishing group based out of Munich. It does include publishers such as Heine, Goldmann, and Knaus. Then we have the Holzbring Group, also a very big media consortia in Germany. They own Fischer, Rowohlt, and Dömer-Knauer, based out of Munich. Then we have the Bonnier Group, which is actually a Swedish consortium, and they own Pieper, Ullstein, and Hörbuch Hamburg. Then we have Bastei-Lübbe, based out of Cologne, and they claim to be the largest independent book publisher in Germany and also the number 3 when it comes to audiobooks. So also someone to reckon with. And then we have the Deutsche Taschenbuchverlag in Munich. If we look at children's literature, we have the Ravensburger Verlag in Ravensburg, that's located in Bavaria. Carlsen in Hamburg, also part of Bonnier. Oettinger in Hamburg, Koppenrad in Münster, Arena in Würzburg. When it comes to self-help and travel books, Gräfe and Unzer in Munich, Delius Klasung, Bielefeld. I mean, that, again, it doesn't tell you anything right now, and I encourage you to maybe go online, and like the ladies were saying earlier, go online if you want a copy of the study, go online and just do some research yourself and see, if any one of those publishers would be of interest to your business. And on the B2B side, we have Springer Nature in Berlin. I believe they're also part of the Holzbring group now. Haufe in Freiburg, Wolters and Kluwer in Neuwied, and WK in Kissing near Augsburg, and Thieme in Stuttgart. And again, the point I want to make is that this may not mean much to you, but again, if you contact me and if you let me know who you want to get in touch with, I can find the right decision maker for you. I was saying, the publishing industry is fairly new to me, so I'm still feeling the waters myself, but it's what I'm there for. And again, I speak the language, I call up the people and just maybe open doors for you. That's something that we will gladly do for you. The last one that I wanted to mention here is in the educational business. I'm not sure if any one of you is interested or is active in this field, but we have the Westermann Group in Braunschweig, the Klett Group in Stuttgart, Cornesen Verlag based in Berlin. You will have noticed, by the way, that of the, oh no, well, I guess you were in Berlin, but none of these companies were headquartered in Berlin. Then we have Pearson in Heilberg-Moos near Munich and Europa Lehrmittel in Hahn. This was information on the traditional book market or the non-digital book market, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about the development in the e-market, in the e-book sector, and I wanted to present you with some general facts. You'll find it interesting. That 1/4 of Germans, or 23%, read ebooks. And here, interestingly enough, you have the most readers in the age group of 14 to 29, and the fewest in the age group of 65 and plus. We had 3.5 million ebook buyers in 2017 compared to 3.8 million in 2016, so a slight decrease. And the relevant e-reader providers for the German market are Amazon's Kindle and the Tolino Alliance. The Tolino Alliance is the brand name by leading booksellers in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. They partnered with Deutsche Telekom as a technology partner and won, well, the competition to Amazon, and they were bought by Kobo Rakuten in January of 2017. Generally speaking, some experts are saying that the e-reader technology is a transitional technology and that more and more people will start reading on their tablets and on their smartphones. So who knows where the development is going with that. But for now, these are the figures for the e-book readers or market. If you look a bit further into some of the key facts about the development of this segment, you will see in chart 1 here on the left-hand side that there was a sharp decrease from 2010 to 2016 from 1.9 million to 26.8 million in 2016, so a sharp increase here. However, on the other side, you'll see that the revenue is actually falling. It peaked in 2012, and then it sharply declined in 2013, and it's evening out on a lower level now. In terms of the market share, again, you'll see obviously the same development, market share of 0.5% in 2010, up to last year 4.6%. But it's, as you can see, it's stagnating a little bit. And again, on the revenue side, numbers of copies went up, but the prices went down. I think the prices were set at a lower price to try and increase uptake. So basically, we've seen a decrease in revenue here for this. So what are people reading on ebooks? What are the most popular genres here? You'll see that fiction is most popular. I was interested to see that there are more men reading fiction on ebooks than women. And then this is followed by education and science titles, self-help, travel books, nonfiction, and comics. Again, here I was surprised to see that more females read comics than men. I would have not thought that to be true, but according to our research, it is. So when I was working with the consultant who did the study for us last year and who prepared these notes for me in coming here, I had asked him to maybe find some numbers on the revenues for Amazon, because obviously it's a giant and it controls many things, just to see, you know, how they're doing in the German market. And according to his sources, they've had a revenue of 1.3 billion euros in Germany last year, but only an estimated market share of 50% in the ebook market. So I thought that was interesting to note. And the three players below share the rest of the market share. So it's an interesting information that I wanted to definitely include in this presentation. So, if you're not tired already, I will share with you an outlook and some recommendations, or rather opportunities, that the study found to be true for Canadian publishers. I mean, overall speaking, I think the German book market is still attractive, despite of a few dents that I've outlined earlier. Again, we've seen that the English literature is still among the top popular languages to be translated. And also, Canada's role as a guest of honor country, I think, does, as we've heard before, does provide an opportunity to further enhance the visibility and also get the publishers interested in Canadian authors. I don't know if Ms. Hippe will agree with me, but there are already some really, obviously the big names are already well established, well known, but maybe this is a chance for the less known authors to also come on the big screen. So the study says I think we have recommendations for 4 genres about what the possibilities could be for Canadian publishers in Germany coming up to Frankfurt 2020. In the area of trade fiction, it was said that there are good prospects, basically thanks to the substantial proportion of book translations and, as I was saying, the continued need for new authors and books. Here it looks like bestsellers, genre books, and award-winning books have the best prospects, but marketing strategies should really focus on unique aspects that highlight the book title or author in order to gain access to the German book market. Recommendations for the children's and adult section include emphasize that publishers are constantly on the lookout for international bestsellers or award-winning books. Here it looks like German authors are most popular, and so are long-standing book series. However, children novels with a good storyline do have fair prospects too. In the area of picture books, German taste defines the direction of the development, but here too, rights for foreign books from Europe in particular are also being bought. In the area of non-fiction e-learning, packagers and publishers operating worldwide do have a good chance if they can offer innovative concepts and attractive prices. In the area of general nonfiction, it was assumed that the subject matter must be somehow connected with Germany in some way, be it a historical topic, political topic, or it should be of international relevance, such as digitization, business and economy, something that would also be of interest to the German public. And there's a high demand for biographies of internationally known individuals, leading figures, musicians, company founders, actors, and politicians. So if any one of you has a biography on Justin Trudeau, you may just put that forward, because Germans seem to love Justin Trudeau. And recommendations on self-help and travel. Here it was found that trends that are now ongoing in the US and Canada reach Germany a bit later, about 1 to 3 years, and this may open up possibilities in that area. It's fair to say that the market is mainly served by German-speaking authors because these authors obviously know the mentality in Germany. However, well-known individuals such as British celebrity chef Jamie Oliver have good prospects as well in Germany. He is highly popular. In the travel guide segment, again, some potential for licensed titles. Lonely Planet is published by Mare Dumont, and the National Geographic by Gruner and Jahr. So how do we get to these people? I think I've said it before. Give me a call, send me an email. I can't say it enough. Obviously, we heard about this before. You go to the big trade fairs and try and get your schedule, try and get to the decision makers. Obviously, you can contact the scouts of the German publishers who are mainly located in New York, and this should read literary agencies. You can tell this was put together a bit in a rush, but nevertheless, I hope that it provided some general information on the German market. I'm here to help. I'm around all day. If you have, a concrete request, if you want to contact me about finding the right person in Germany, preparing for Frankfurt, I'd be more than happy. And yes, and without any further ado, I think I would like to introduce Frau Hippe. Oh, were there any questions? Please.
In one of your earlier slides,
Yeah, I know. I was wondering about that too. No, I think it's basically specialist literature that is basically addressing a business audience.
Seems pretty high. I don't know anything about that. I'm very sorry.
Okay. I can look it up again and tell you more about what that means, but I checked with the author of the study, and that's how he explained it to me. It's specialist literature that's basically, targeted at a business audience, not at consumers so much. So any kind of,
The publishers who are in that segment were like Springer and
yes.
like that. So I think it is going into some different sectors. It's relevant.
I think it explains the enormous rate of Japanese translation into German, because that's what really got my attention. We don't have that many Japanese writers translated, but there must be a lot of Japanese books who get translated, so that might be one part of it.
I'd be happy to look into it.
It'd be interesting to know. I think it is an important number, and for some of the publishers here, it's more relevant than for others.
But are you in the, largely speaking, in the B2B? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. But yeah, I did call him up and I did ask, and he said to me, it's special. It's like B2B, like any kind of specialist literature that addresses business needs, more or less. It could be even educational.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
The educational
Yeah.
university sector, it's like what's in
Yeah.
that and all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so.
Thank you, Claudia.
You're
very,
welcome.
Very much. That was just fabulous. Excellent. Well done.